Should be live now. I think. Sorry, guys. For some reason, it sent us live and then sent us unlive again. So I think they only caught the starting soon part. But we're back, Omi.
Yes, absolutely. We are back as well. I just quickly went on to YouTube Studio as well. It looked like the settings were set on the way that you have to click go live. So unfortunately, we hadn't done that as well. Of course, different commentators usually have streamed this so far this season. So it was set to whoever was here last streaming it. So that is why. But apologies for that. We are live now.
Yes, indeed. So everything we said earlier, we have to say it all again. We'll do that
Yes.
later on when we get some time. But of course, I mean, as you were saying earlier on, championship very close. Of course, we have Luca Rapassa and Tony Hietala 1 point apart heading into this race. And the point I was making when we wasn't live was this is a very good track for Tony because we know he's good in qualifying. And it's so difficult to make moves in the race around Jeddah that if he can yet again go into pole or at least be in that top 3 or top 4, he's got a very good chance of yet again trying to outscore Luca.
Yeah, he's been an absolute master over one lap pace, has Tony Hietala, and that should hopefully be the case once again. Luca Rapassa, though, earlier on in our PCF2 chat, was also feeling confident about his chances across today's qualifying session. Modler comes across the line at 1 minute 26.051. These are your opening lap times of the qualifying session. Hietala top now, as we also check in with Cameron Dowds, who makes his way round the 27th turn. Fanzelta also goes up into P1 and Dowd slots in to P3.
Indeed, there's a few more cars now heading across the line. Sergio Sobrino jumps up into 4th place in the Mercedes, and we have here Gabor Chontos in the Williams heading into the final corner. We'll see what he can do as Race Imtiaz goes quickest by 1,000th of a second. And of course, Jeddah is a track where the lap times come down to the very, very finest of margins as Gabor Chontos jumps up into P5. Then, of course, Marcel Paps on his first appearance up into P8.
Yeah, mega stuff there for Imtiaz. Larry Chulke comes over the line, P6 for him. Currently looking at Gabriel Quintino, who was brutally denied the victory at Barcelona. Made contact on the final lap, battling for the win in Mexico, and still he has not won a race in PCF2. Gregory now goes top. We were mentioning when we weren't actually live that he was very good, especially to start the season where he was battling for the win in Melbourne. Here is Leo Lund. Leo Lund is the furthest one away in terms of the championship battle. You've really got 3 drivers contesting it, so Lund would love a good result to try and close in the gap, and he's P3 on the timing board.
Of course, and we all knew what happened last time out between Leo Lund and Tony Hietala, of course. Tony was on for, I think, around P5 or P6, but then Leo Lund, who got a puncture after being on like 15 lap old medium tyres, ended up trying to get back to the pit lane. In doing so, spun and collected Tony, who had already been into the pits. And, of course, that pretty much ended Tony's race as he came away from that one with 0 points. So, bringing that championship gap down to 1 point as Pasquale Ranieri goes to the top of the timings with a 125.582. And Pasquale is a driver that I'd like to mention at this moment because I know he's been practicing Jeddah for a very long time. So, I think for him, pole should be minimum. He started practicing Jeddah, I think, the day after Boxing Day.
Wow. Well, that's good. Well, that's very interesting as well. It would be his first pole in F2 if he can get there. And he's been close to getting himself to wins. He's promised me that he is going to get a win at some point. So I think today, judging by all of the information we've just mentioned, I think today would be a perfect day for him to do so. But, as I mentioned, Luca Rapassa feels very confident about his chances. We're on board with the Red Bull man making his way down towards turn number 27. And he's, of course, fought his way through from the 17-point deficit at the start of Mexico to now being only 1 point away. And 1 point, if he can get that for pole right now, would put him tie and level with Tony Hietala. Over the line we go with Luca Rapassa, and to the top we go with Luca Rapassa, and he has gone ahead of them all so far on run number 1.
And that is a perfect start for Luca Rapassa, considering Tony Hietala, after his first run, is 3/10 off, down in 8th place on a 125.805. So that is perfect for Luca to start off qualifying. Of course, if he can hold that pole position and take that into the race, That would also be a very good scenario for him, of course, with 1 point being the difference between the two. P1 and P8, that would really change things in the championship. Of course, Leo Lund is in the mix in P5, but I realistically don't think he's got any chance of fighting for that title, especially if Luca ends up taking a win or a top 3 here this evening. There's a couple more cars now heading their way out onto track, and one of them being our championship leader, Tony here Teller, and also we see Marcel Pabst as well down in 16th heading onto track. He has got Tom on the board, but at 1:37 he's 11 seconds off, so that tells me it was maybe a mistake somewhere on his lap. I don't think he went out on Inter, so I don't know why he was so far off there.
Yeah, for anyone who hasn't seen Marcel Pabst, well, he is, of course, coming to F2 for the first time, but he has been racing in PSGL for quite a while, with a lot of breaks in between. Season 31 PCF8 was 23rd in the standings, returned plenty of seasons after in Season 37, where he was in F4, got 17th that specific season, and then Season 39, the last season on the previous game cycle, he was also in F3, where he got 22nd. He's also had 2 social races on this game cycle for PSGL, but no other running as well, so it is great to have him back, and he returns the highest he has ever been, and it's great to have him at this level, and we're going to look forward to seeing what he can produce. Other important things that have happened, of course, it has been a long break, so Imtiaz has been promoted to a full-time seat at Alpine, and Conrad Bohm has also got that full-time seat at Mercedes now on this grid.
Of course, and you see now Tony begin his lap. He's just heading in towards turn 4, so we'll go on board here with the Haas car as he makes his way through. Of course, a very tight and twisty opening sector here around the Jeddah Corniche circuit as he flies his way through towards turn 9, 10 and 11. And then we'll see how much he's up by in sector 1. I would love to have a 10th or 2 here. He's up by 35 thousandths in this opening sector as he heads into the banked turn 13. And then on the exit, run slightly wide as you prepare for the upcoming high-speed chicane. You dart through there quickly, of course. We see a lot of drivers tap the wall on the exit here. It must not give you damage, and it must produce more speed, so a lot of them tend to go for that sort of strategy through there. Then we make our way all the way down towards turns 22 through to 24. Of course, another very high-speed chicane as we head down to the final corner, only where this is probably going to be the hot spot when it comes to overtaking.
Absolutely, this is where the overtaking will be done or set up for a run down towards turn number 1. But in the race, it is very important. In qualifying, it's about nailing the final sector, the final few corners, and make sure that you can keep up some of the good work that you've produced earlier on in the lap. Over the line we go with Hietala, and 3rd position is where that lap time will take him. Just under 8 minutes to go as well. We're still going to get Ranieri, Rapassa, and plenty of the other drivers who are on their outlaps or already pushing on, and we join Gregory, who's gone off the road and wide.
Indeed, and that is Gregory's lap over before it really started. Also got damage on his car as well. So just trying to find another driver on a lap. We'll go on board here with Florian van Zelter as he makes his way through into sector 3. Was up by a 10th in the middle sector, but of course wants to find a lot more time in the final sector if he wants to try and dart himself up towards the top 2. We heading towards turn 27. Then, of course, on the exit, back onto the power as soon as possible. You head with a short dose of DRS up to the line, and we'll see what can Florian van Zelter do. Up to the line, it's P3 for the RB. What can Tom Roberts do? Hasn't got a lap time on the board yet. He jumps up into the top 7, and then next across the line will be Cameron Dowds.
Yep, and Dowds will go ahead of Roberts. He'll go ahead of Bohm, and that will be P6 for Cameron Dowds. Cameron Dowds, of course, last time out, scoring his first podium since his return to PCF2. Of course, he had a long stint away at PlayStation, then came back on F3. He's come back, of course, now in F2, been promoted up, had a season with not the best results. Season 40, Season 41, he's been fighting his way up and up and up, and finally rewarded with the return to a podium. Could a win be on the cards? Well, he certainly would hope so. This is Imtiaz. Look quick earlier on. Will come over the line, and P7 for him. Gabel goes to 2nd place. That is a great lap time for the driver who was, of course, in F3 to start this season, promoted up to F2, and Isaac Leet has also found himself in 3rd.
Indeed, and next across the line will be Pasquale Ranieri. Just under a tenth away from pole, up to the line, and he retakes that pole again with a 125.440. Then the next driver really to keep an eye on is Luca Rapassa. He's currently in P2, and we'll have to see what he can do in this middle and final sector.
Yeah, absolutely. We watch right now with Luca Rapassa. You get 3 DRS zones back to back to back here around this circuit, and then you throw it in, and he's backed out of it. He's backed out of it this time around. Not he's well. We'll get the proper lap time from him later on. He's got some good pace, and he'll produce it later on. So for now, second place, but his run earlier was quite decent. And it's exactly what is going to keep him in contention, as we also now take a look at Marcel Pabst as he comes over the line.
Also, one thing to notice, Tony Hietala, despite making 0.2 of improvement, hasn't made enough of an improvement to really go that much higher up the grid. He's currently P7 after being in P8 after the first runs. It's not looking too good here for Tony. Of course, P7 for most drivers is quite a decent qualifying position, but when your championship protagonist or fighter, whatever the word is, who's only 1 point behind you, is sitting 5 places ahead, things do then start to become a worry for yourself, especially with only 3 rounds to go in the championship.
Yeah, it's now that point where you've had a long break. Now you have to come charging back and finish the season on a high. Of course, Luca Rapassa would have went into said break on a lot of confidence after, as I mentioned, gaining the maximum amount of points that you can on your championship rival in a round, and absolutely bringing the gap down from 17 to 1 in terms of a race. Of course, he wasn't able to quite grab that pole position point that day, but in terms of the race, he maximized what he could do, and he's got himself 1 point behind. If he does take pole, as I mentioned, it will put him tie. Now here is also one of the contenders for the title, P3 driver Leo Lund, when it comes to the championship. It is really only a 3 horse race this for the crown. Alves and Murphy, they are 4th and 5th, and they're not even here with us, which will further, I guess, consolidate my point on these 3 only being the ones who can really fight this title, with 3 races to go, with Jeddah this weekend, Brazil and Abu Dhabi as well, which will end our season on the 22nd of January.
Of course, and then hopefully we have another season before F125 2, as I think we can call it, because it's going to be an expansion for the new game, and I'm still a little bit confused on how that will work, because obviously they're not having a new game, so they must just be giving us the new cars. It's weird because there's that many changes heading into this new regulation that they can't just add Cadillac in and keep the F125 cars. They've got to have the new regs. So they're going to have brand new cars, a new team to add in, so they're going to have to change servers so they can allow spectators. It seems like a bit of a weird time to be halting the production of a new game, if you ask me. I thought they would have kind of done this heading off of F124 into 25. That would make a bit more sense, to give them a bit more time to prepare for the new regs. But then again, we don't work for EA. We're not game designers, so probably the chances are we have no clue, Omi.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we'll see what will happen, but yes, for now, we've got this season to finish, and we've got one more season in this kind of F125 game cycle, and then we'll see what will happen when it comes to the DLC that will be coming into play. So still plenty of time for everything to happen on this set of the game. Now, one thing also that did happen over the winter break, of course, Connor announced that he is, of course, stepping away from day-to-day running of the league. Still remains owner for a few months before he decides what to do, but he's been such a big part of everything that has gone on, I mean, in PSGL as a whole, but I think from the F2 broadcast, we definitely like to say a huge thank you to everything that he has done for the league and got us to the position that we are in right now.
Yeah, definitely, and I think Connor's position in league racing, I don't think people realise how much work he's done. I mean, he's got so many drivers into F1 esports or F1 sim racing. He's made a lot of commentators in a position where they can start to think about making, you know, their hobby a career. Of course, yourself, Omi, myself, and many others in PSGL are very lucky to have that. So I think Connor's job in PSGL and sim racing is definitely not noticed as much. So of course, a big thank you to Connor for his work over the past many years. And of course, if you do remember, Connor was around in PSGL back, I think, when it first started in like 2015, 15 or something. He might have even been before that.
Yeah, he has been around for so long, racing in it as well. But now he is watching with the rest of us and watching the F2 drivers take on the final part of qualifying then, as they all push through. They're all backing off in that final sector, but this is now the important run as Fanzelter makes his way out of turn number 13.
Of course, and with Fanzelter being down in P6, he's only 2/10 away from pole. So if he can find a big improvement here, he could certainly be making his way up the field. Only has to find half a tenth, really, to get up into P3. But of course, other drivers around him will be making those vast improvements on their final runs, as Fanzelter is down by nearly a tenth in Sector 2. He goes wide, and that is his lap done before he heads down to Sector 3. And of course, with how close the grid is, not even a tenth back to P14, he could certainly fly down the field here.
Absolutely. Checkered flag is out. Who is going to find the step forward? Imtiaz looked quick, looked good earlier on. Is he going to be able to produce the lap time? Roberts is gone. He's P15. That'll be it for him. We cut also to Luca Rapassa, who is looking to try and contend for this pole position. He's trying to chase down Pasquale Ranieri. Imtiaz lap time puts him P3. Boom. Goes up to second position, but the driver absolutely flying is Luca Rapassa, going very quickly. Over a tenth of a second. He's improving by at this moment in time. Tony Hietala, though, will be pushing on first out of turn number 27. It's currently in 8th, needs to get closer to his rival for the title. DRS Open over the line, and there is no improvement for Tony Hietala. Best will be P8. Now, what does Luca Rapassa do? Can he go to pole position? Of course he can. Luca Rapassa goes to the top, but now we cut over to his main rival for this qualifying session. 400ths of a second, Pasquale Ranieri, who was very close to the white line as he got through turn number 22. He's making his way through the final couple of corners. We're on board with Ranieri, looking for what will be his first pole in PSGL. PCF2 flings the car in through turn number 27. He's been practicing this circuit for a while. Is it going to pay off? Is he going to get a first pole position in the second tier? Over the line? No, he's missed out. He's missed out right at the end. It's not going to be Ranieri's day once again. Sergio Sabrino is P9, but it is Luca Rapassa, who said he was looking good in qualifying today, and he's delivered up to that promise, and Luca Rapassa finds himself on pole position for only the second time in PCF2.
Indeed, a great lap there by Luca, which was helped by Cameron Dowes. I did notice the V-carb giving him a slipstream out of the final corner, and I think even without that, I think he'd still be on pole. A brilliant lap from Luca Rapassa, a 125.3. Followed by Pasquale Ranieri in P2. Then we had Conrad Bohm, Ray Imtiaz, Isaac Kleet, Gabor Chontos, Florian Fanzelter, Tony Hietala, our championship leader in 8th, Sabrino in 9th, and Prajibal the top 10. Then we had Larry Tolkey, Gabriel Quintino, Cameron Dowd, Leo Lund, Tom Roberts, Ryan Modler, and Marcel Pabst. And the one thing I forgot, Omi, because I haven't been here for a long time, is there a restart or not?
No.
Oh,
unless we got a grid penalty, which we didn't.
Thank the Lord.
So, yeah, we don't quite have a lobby restart, which is good. Meaning we're loading in, we're looking down in the pit lane, and it will soon be time to look immediately at the 5 red lights, which it all happens very quickly now, which is really good, of course, compared to especially the previous games where we had to deal with all of the lobby restart and wait around and do all of that.
Certainly, it makes our lives a lot easier. But before we go in, Omi, any predictions? Who do you think is going to take the victory here?
I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be close between the title contenders. I think Hietala will make his way up, but I think I'm going to go with Ranieri to get his first win in
Perfect.
F2. I think that's what I'm going for.
I think this race is going to be a big test of... I think one strategy, you need to pit on the perfect lap so you can come out in that perfect spot, but also making some good moves on that first 2 or 3 laps, because after the first 3 or 4 laps, you get no opportunities really to overtake until the pit stop. So you've got to be making those moves early. So if you're Pasquale, for example, maybe getting into the lead on lap 1, or Tony, getting higher up as soon as possible.
Here we go, 3, 4, 5 red lights in Jeddah, and PSGL goes racing in 2026, and Luca Rapassa chops across Pasquale Ranieri, lead maintained into the first turn. Ranieri second place, Boom trying to get ahead of Imtiaz, trying to take third position. Do they all get through? It's close to contact for Leo Lund, driver third place in the championship, was very tight out of the second turn. We're on board with Gabor, he is directly in behind of Imtiaz. Boom was able to take that third position, but it's Luca Rapassa with the lead in the opening sector.
Indeed, a lot of side-by-side action here on lap 1 of 25. We did see there Gregory Prejibel nearly ending up in the barriers heading through the middle of sector 1 as here goes Isaac Cleat on his teammate, but has to back out as they head into turn 13 and can't quite make the move up into the top 5. Very close now as they make their way through and towards turn 14 and 15 at the chicane, and Isaac Cleat is all over the back of Gabor Chontos. He's very eager now to make this move.
Absolutely, the drivers are being aggressive on the opening lap. They know how difficult it can be. They know how they can get themselves stuck in positions on this game specifically. The Alpine looking for it was Laurie Tulke. Further back, we go through turn number 22, and then an overtaking chance comes down towards turn number 27. And the driver getting really, really close is Race Imtiaz. He's trying to put the pressure on Conrad Bohm down into the braking zone. No move as such at the front, but it is going to be Tony Hietala in the Haas colours trying to go and dance the long way round, and it'll become a drag race down towards turn 1.
Indeed, and this is a very risky move here for Tony on the outside, heading down to the first corner. He's got to make the move now, though, considering where Luca is and where he is. He needs to be making some early moves as we head through into turn 1 and move complete. Into P7 goes Tony Hietala, and we did see as well Sergio Sobrino get into some contact, and he's dropped all the way down to 15th place and nearly got into more contact with Roy Modler as they made their way out of turn 2 and 3. And not a good start at all for the Mercedes. But then again, Omi, we know turn 1, 2 and 3 at Jeddah can always be a race ender.
It really, really can. In the F3 race that just happened a few moments ago, we had plenty of moments of brinkmanship at that part of the circuit, especially the later that we went on in the contest. So this is the second lap of the race. Isaac Cleat, driver currently in P6. Of course, we have got everyone in the top 9 on those medium compound of tyres. We're on board with Leet, who has been able to get together some good results over the last few rounds. Overall, it's definitely been a great turnaround compared to the way that he started this season. Of course, he's come into F2 as the runner-up in F3 last campaign, but now he's trying to impress us once again, and is definitely finding the momentum that he needs. Talking about momentum, plenty of battling down into turn number 27. That's Hietala, who is going to not have the best traction in comparison to Florian Fanzelter. He'll be in the Racing Bulls car, and he'll be the one alongside him as we come over the line and make our way down towards turn number 1, with the field spreading all over the place. And that's very, very late on the brakes for Gabor. And meanwhile, Isaac Leeds trying to get involved. It is quite the cluster of cars that made their way down into turn 1.
It certainly is, as Leo Lund there having a battle with Cameron Dowd for P10, and Leo Lund gets a move complete and jumps up into the top 10, and Isaac Cleat there a little bit too late on the brakes. I think got a little bit scared, hence the lock up into turn 1. And luckily they all made it through unscathed, but still Leet sits in P6 as we go up towards turn 13, and Race Imtiaz with an opportunity to the outside of Conrad Bohm. The Alpine versus the Mercedes. Pasquale Ranieri just slightly ahead of the two, and Race Imtiaz gets a move complete on the exit of turn 13. And I mean, it's not always the easiest move, but it's such a satisfying watch when you see somebody go all the way around the outside at 13 and jump ahead as they head into the chicane.
Yeah, it really, really is satisfying. We had it, of course, with Lance Stroll a few years ago in the Formula One real thing, where he was able to make an absolutely superb move, and it's always great to see, no matter what it is, Formula 1, Formula 2, here in PSGL, it's always spectacular around this circuit. And is Gabor about to try and add another move that can get the same description, trying to get to the inside line? He'll also be alongside at that moment of Imtiaz because of how late on the brakes he had to be, but now they're making their way over the start-finish line, and they'll both have DRS in towards the braking zone. but it is going to be just Gabor ahead of Bohm, then it will be Leet, then for Florian Fanzelter, then we get to the battling here between Larry Tulki and Tony Hietala, getting so close between them, and Hietala is just ahead by a few meters.
Indeed, a slight bit of contact there. I think Larry Tulki hit the side of Florian Fanzelter. Because of that, it dropped him back behind Tony Hietala, and it was a big opportunity there for Larry to make the move and go up into the top 8 in this race, as we do see Isaac Leet now closing in on the back of Conrad Bohm, who's not had the best lap since being overtaken by Gabor Chontos on lap 3 as we head into turn 13. And also we can see Florian Vanzelter now getting all over the rear of the Williams car as they make their way through towards the chicane. And further back we see Ryan Modler getting ahead of Tom Roberts for P15. That battle still continues on through the chicane. It's side by side. It's a slight bit of contact. Oh, and they hit each other somehow. They keep it in a straight line. And Tom Roberts keeps that P15.
Oh my word, they're making more contact. This is definitely feisty stuff between them, as now they finally go single file into turn number 22. We cut over now to Isaac Leet, once again in the back of Conrad Bohm. They'll have Florian Fanzelter for company. This Jeddah race definitely delivering in terms of overtaking, and there is another attempt, another opportunity to the inside line, and it will be wheel to wheel between them. And you can also see now Florian Fanzelter will be tucked directly in behind, waiting for his chance. Could we be about to go 3 wide? Florian Fanzelter is going to be past one, trying to get past another of Isaac Leet. He's going a long way round. He's trying to get to the apex first. Meanwhile, Lund was up against Larry Tulki further back, and it's millimeter stuff between the pair of them, and Florian Fanzelter is inching ahead, but we're heading to turn number 4 where it can get so close between them, and he can't quite get ahead. Isaac Leet hangs on to that position, and Tulki stayed ahead of Leo Lund as well.
Indeed, brilliant defence there from Isaac Leet to keep Florian Fanzelter behind, and at one moment it looked like that P5 has all gone for him, but managed to keep it side by side into turn 4 and still keep ahead. As we did see there, Cameron Dowes having a battle with Gabriel Quintino, of course. Took a win in Spain, got it revoked and hated me ever since. He's currently in P12. Not being the best day for the Brazilian at the moment as we make our way through the chicane. Then looking a little bit further ahead. Not much battling going on at all, as we said. Give it the first 4 or 5 laps and things do start to calm down. The only real battle we could see here is between Isaac Leet and Florian Fanzelter. And of course, if Florian losing out that P5 opportunity, he'll be very eager to get back ahead of the Williams.
Definitely will be indeed. So back down towards 27 we go. Ranieri getting close and closer at the moment, but of course no real need to make the move in a way that Hietala will be looking for. As he went wheel to wheel, he tried to get to the inside line, but charging straight back through. Down the straight is going to be Conrad Bohm. Not the best exit speed there for Hietala, so he's going to have to do it into the braking zone. Of course, has to keep an eye and think about that championship, but he is right now still in P8 and had to be careful with how aggressive he was, so he wasn't able to commit further to that move. So Bohm just hangs on. Lap number 6 out of 25. Now, at this point last season in the race, it was actually a very weird one where we had a big debate about 2-stop versus 1-stop. In this race. It was quite a weird one last season, to be fair, as well. And I remember Andre Molnar was one of the drivers who went for that 2-stop strategy. Jona Martins predicted him to get P7, and he did get P7. He was one of the highest finishers on that 2-stop strategy. Everyone else was on that 1-stop that day.
I think the 1-stop is still the stronger strategy here. I know that a few tracks had the tire compounds changed, and that made them all go from 2-stop to 1-stop. So I'm sure it's a 1-stop race here around Jeddah, as we do see Larry Tulki there closing in on the back of Tony Hietala. Of course, looked for the move a couple of laps ago, couldn't quite make it pay off, and will be looking to do that again. Of course, behind him is Leo Lund, who will be very eager to get ahead of Tony, being as he's still in that championship fight. As we go down to turn 27, Leo Lund looked for a bit of a send, backed out and stays behind the back of the Alpine for now. As we look further ahead, though, Florian Fanzelter has got that move done over Isaac Leet, and Leet's going to try and fight back down to turn 1. He's going to have to switch it to the inside line as they head into the braking zone, and still Florian Fanzelter keeps that P5 spot, and after a couple of laps of trying, gets that move done.
Yeah, that was very, very close. As going slowly there. Gabor going slowly momentarily. What I was saying, it was very close down the start-finish straight.
He couldn't shift up there.
Yeah, this is a weird one. Really going slowly. So definitely some form of a problem there coming in for Gabor, possibly with his equipment. Something definitely going wrong at that moment. Let's see whether he can now continue. We're on board with him.
It's very weird there for Gabor. Not sure what's happened there, but it seems a wheel issue potentially as we continue our way on, and hopefully Gabor has sorted his issues out as we continue on. It seems he does look to be in control of the car a little bit again, but when he was heading through turn 6, he could not shift up at all.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the weird moments, but luckily it appears like everything is now okay from this moment onwards. So that is good news, and that is exactly what we want to see as well, because he's actually having quite a good race running up there and a good day so far, which is exactly what he would have wanted at the start of when he joined back PCF2. Performances back at the front and being able to contend in a way he wasn't able to last season in Season 40.
Of course, but look at that now. Because Gabor dropped off and cost others time, Florian Vanzelter now is 1.5 seconds back from Race Imtiaz. And every time we get into a DRS zone, unless Isaac Leak can go ahead with the DRS, they're just constantly going to lose time to the top 3. But of course, with the fact that we've got Tony Hietala and Leo Lund in that train, Luca Rapassa will be looking to push as much as he can so he doesn't end up allowing those others getting back into that DRS train. So this could be a brilliant opportunity now for Leo Lund for Luca Rapassa to kind of confirm a top 3.
It definitely would be, and that is what he would have wanted at the start of the day. He mentioned how he would love to get the win on merit, which of course he put himself in a brilliant position, but it did all kind of come to him. Of course, you have to be in a position to capitalize on any drama, and he was in that said position last time out. But he would like to do it fair and square, on merit, with none of his title rivals having any form of drama, none of the drivers ahead on the road having any drama on the final lap. He wants to take that checkered flag first and come over the line to win. But Luca Rapassa does have winning prowess around this place. He won the PCF2 race here at Jeddah in Season 38.
Of course, so you can see now that gap, 2.6 seconds between Florian Vanzelter and Race Imtiaz. But this has really played into the hands of those in the top 3, as we do see Isaac Kleet and Conrad Bohm look to go ahead of the TRT car as Tony Hietala, Larry Torquay, Leo Lund and Sergio Sobrino into the pit lane as that was late on the brakes there for Conrad Bohm. Vanzelter had to go off the road, gets a 3-second time penalty, but rejoins ahead. And the thing is here, with Tony and Larry and Leo pitting, I think they've done that on purpose because they're out of that main train. And they don't just want to be stuck behind losing time to the top 3. You might as well go into the pit lane, have the offset of tyres now, so they'll be quicker than Luca, Pasquale and Race, and then hopefully they'll have brought that 3-second gap down with the undercut.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they're going to be attempting, and that's what they will be going for as well. No point just trundling around. Always worth trying something different, especially if you are Hietala, looking at a result where you're going to lose out quite a bit of points to Luca Rapassa. I mean, you know, Luca Rapassa did go on the alternative strategy last time out in Mexico, and it won him the race in the end. He put himself in a winning position. So sometimes you just have to go a little bit different and just do something that is complete opposite to your title rival. So it just makes sense, I think, for him and, as you mentioned, everyone else in that field to pit, because they would have all just been losing time lap after lap after lap with the situation that the front running group have put themselves in, with Gabor that, of course, had that issue momentarily and slowed everyone up.
Indeed, and we continue our way on, and looking back up with those in the front, none of them have pitted yet. As we do see Cameron Dowds take the fastest lap on the hard tyres. He's currently down in 7th place. As Tom Roberts goes past Gregory Prozibel and jumps up into 9th. Of course, it's not been the best race for Tom, as stuck down at the bottom of the field, battling with Ryan Modler. And of course, he's on that alternate strategy, and sometimes that doesn't always go to plan. So a big race here for Tom to try and score some points here tonight, as still those who have pitted earlier on have brought that gap down, as Tony Hietala now sits in P14. As what's happened to Isaac Leet, he's on the tyres that he started on, and he's now down in 13th.
Yeah, so he is dropped down majorly. So yeah, what has happened to Isaac Lee? Was running quite decently well in the mix for those lower end battle of the leading group, and well, right now just running in 13th, of course, as you mentioned, on the tyres, on that yellow wall medium compound of tyres, which he began the race on.
Indeed, so something there has happened to Isaac Leet. I'm sure he'll not be happy at all with what has happened there. Of course, both Williams cars now running into some sort of issues during this race, as we are now on lap 11 of 20, well, heading on to lap 11 of 25, with Luca Rapassa in the lead. Of course, the top three continue on. Anybody further down looking for a pit stop yet? As Florian Van Zelter is no, none of them are looking for a pit stop. So I'm starting to think here, have those in the bottom four gone in a little bit too early, potentially?
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, while we have had the tyre rates change and everything has just changed a little bit in terms of how the tyres do run last season, we had a race that, well, Leo Lund ended on 84%. So it's not unusual here at Jeddah for these drivers to really just go early, try something different, and then just deal with some of the pain nearer to the end of the race. And, you know, that's what they might be experimenting. Leo Lund was able to get himself to second that day, having started 16th on the grid. So it was a good recovery drive from him one season ago, and you'll hope to do something similar, but on the evidence of what has happened so far, you'll definitely need a few things to go his way.
Certainly, as we continue our way on now, as we approach the halfway point of this race very shortly. Now top three is the same as it has been every lap. It's Luca Rapassa, Pasquale Ranieri and Race Imtiaz, with Florian Van Zelter and Conrad Bohm reigning off the top five. But of course, there'll be the drivers such as Tony Hietala, Larry Torquay, Leo Lund, potentially, that could maybe make their way into the top five later on if this strategy pays off for them, as we head back into the final corner now with Gabor Chontos, as we do see the top three all going to the pit lane. They've darted in, 4th, 5th, 6th, all going as well. Of course, Cameron Dowd doesn't go into the pit lane, but he started on a hard tyre, so there'd be no reason why he'd pit on lap 11. So many drivers, Omi, all pitting on the exact same lap. The question is, where does Tony Hietala come out in all of this?
Yep, that is going to be the interesting question, making his way down towards turn number 1. And he should be able to get past a couple of them, but he will be behind Imtiaz, he will be behind Ranieri and Luca Rapassa. So he's come out with those tyres warmed up, 1.1 seconds away. He should be able to get that within the DRS, but not quite ahead of those drivers that he would have hoped to have definitely jumped.
Certainly, but he's lost time. He's lost, what, 4 or 5 tenths over Race Imtiaz through that first sector. That is not good at all for Tony. He's dropped down to 2 seconds now, the gap between them all. But of course, we know that 3 laps, it might not seem like a lot, but it can certainly hamper your pace. So we're going to have to see what Tony can do here to try and push forward. At the moment, he's on a net P4. But of course, things can all change once others start to pit onto those newer tyres. Of course, Florian Van Zelter will be a guy to watch because he's only a few positions back from Tony and he's on newer tyres. He's already got ahead of Sergio Sabrino.
He has, so he'll now try and attack as Conrad Bohm also goes wide further in the background as well. But yes, we are going to now see Van Zelter go on the attack off Lund, off Tulki, of Hietala, and now we would join Luca Rapassa, who is behind, or was behind, the driver who's just come into the pit lane, Isaac Leet, on that medium compound of tyre where he has faded down and down and down. It has been a horrid time of things for Isaac Leet, and he finally does come into the pit lane.
Indeed, and that gap there after 1 lap has got it by 2 seconds nearly. It was 1.5, it's now 3.1. Between Imtiaz and Tony Hietala. It seems that the pace drop-off here between the 4 lap and 1 lap is so different here. It just seems like Tony's got nothing to do at all to fight with the top 3, and it seems like for him at the moment, focusing on P4 at best here is the plan, because he's got no way of catching up. He has got, though, Larry Torquay behind, who we know has been looking for the move ahead of Tony in the past, and also Leo Lund, who's in that championship fight. So defending this P4 isn't going to be easy here for Tony.
It isn't. And, well, we mentioned that the long break and the different motivations level as the drivers return would play a huge part. Well, for Rapasa, he did say he was struggling before we went for the break as well to try and continue and to keep on going, but this title fight and the huge comeback that he did have at Mexico would have definitely helped, and coming to a strong circuit like Jeddah, where as we mentioned he's won here before and already was quite, as we now get very close to an overtake. So that was Leodon looking for it. Larry Tulki is going to try and consolidate the position though on the exit, as we see a few drivers pit ahead, including Quintino and Gregory as well. On board though with Florian Fanzelta looking to try and get past 3 cars down one straight. This would be absolutely extraordinary. They're all battling amongst themselves, and Florian Fanzelta has just got past 3 cars in one corner.
Well, that was a move and a half. Absolutely insane there by Florian Fanzelta. Picked them all off at the right time and goes from P11 into P8. And that was a much needed move. Because of his tyres being newer, he'd like to be ahead of these guys that are slower and just try and, one, build a gap ahead of them and maybe potentially close into those at the front if they ever get held up. Because Luca Rapasa, Pasquale and Race are all in that train of Ryan Modland and Marcel Paps. So if they get caught up here and lose time, could be an opportunity for Fanzelta to close in, but it was a brilliant move as Luca Rapasa goes ahead of Marcel Paps, who I believe will let them all through as we head back down towards turn 22.
Yeah, absolutely. That was, well, everything just being timed to perfection and being able to get to the critical part of the road. Ranieri spins. He does make contact with Marcel Paps at that moment. And we were saying that Marcel Paps probably wouldn't put up too much of a fight, but contact made for the second year in a row for Pasquale Ranieri around this circuit. It was Dowd's last season. It's Marcel Paps on debut this season. And the virtual safety car has been deployed due to it.
Oh, dear me. And that could help here Cameron Dowds and Tom Roberts slightly in this race. Luca Rapasa will, of course, take the net lead. P2 will go to Race Imtiaz. Third, I believe, will be Florian Fanzelta here now. It will be. So third for Florian, but of course, he's got that 3-second penalty for running off the road here at turn 1. I presume that'll get removed because it was only because I think he had Conrad Bohm absolutely diving him into turn 1, but I'm sure we'll see what the shooters decide on that one. Yes, P3 for Fanzelta, P4 for Larry Tulki, and Tony Hirtela's gone into the pit lane. He's pitted for mediums here. He wants to try something different.
Well, rolled the dice once and has had to do it all over again. So, as Pasquale Ranieri also gets a drive-through penalty as he returns. But yeah, he'll be absolutely fuming. As I mentioned, he did have contact here last season with Cameron Dowds at turn 27. But this season, it's a completely different race. He was fighting up at the front and was definitely going to be a contender all the way until the end, and that is such a shame. But I think he'll definitely get his day one day this season. He's been so quick across season 41 that it will be absolutely legal for him to not be able to get a good result and get that top step that he has been chasing for such a long time across last season and also this.
Indeed, as we're back underway and just on board here with Cameron Dowds in P7. He's in a very good spot here to make some moves, being as we got, of course, Gabor, Conrad, Larry all ahead of him, only 2 seconds ahead in that train with older tyres. Oh dear me, that was close, and there was contact there between Gabor and Larry. But of course, if Cameron can get ahead of these, and if that penalty was to stand for Florian, there's a big chance Cameron could potentially be looking at a podium here in this race as we head down to turn 1. Gabor Chontos looking to make a move ahead of Larry Zolke. They're side by side through the corner, but Larry does edge ahead, and Gabor, though, unless he can get a better exit here, he's going to have a good exit to fight Larry. Into turn 4 they go, and Larry just about keeps ahead. Off the road goes Gabor, rejoins behind, and will have to go for that move all over again.
We'll need to do so once again, as you mentioned. So we'll need to regroup and go all over again on the next lap to try and see whether that can be a position gain. So the race currently stands with Luca Rapasa leading, Imtiaz in second, and Florian Fanzelta in third position with that penalty, which we are unsure whether it could get removed, but that's going to be up to the steward. The drivers who would be able to capitalise provisionally are Bohm, Tulke, Gabor and Dowd, who is the real one who we are thinking that could possibly get on the podium. And I mean, he had his return back to the podium, as we mentioned, at Mexico for the first time in PCF2 since the old days. Could he be on for 2 in a row?
Certainly could be. As we head our way back down towards turn 27. Here's Conrad Bohm making the move for the podium. Conrad Bohm into P3. Florian Van Zelten now down to 4th. Of course, Larry Tulke, who's been under pressure a lot from Gabor Chontos on those older tyres, yet again is going to suffer more because Gabor will be looking to get this move done as soon as possible as we head back down towards turn 1. But another car entering the scene, Cameron Dowds, of course, on brand new tyres pretty much, and he's also on the softer compound compared to Gabor and Larry. He's going for 1, he's going to go for 2 moves into turn 4. Cameron Dowds up into P5. That podium now certainly is on for the young Brit. No, I'll say Scotsman. He'll be very angry for calling him British.
Yeah, he absolutely would be indeed. But his driving is absolutely fantastic out there on the circuit. Pass after pass after pass. Meanwhile, further back, are you ready for another one? That's Gabriel Quintino getting to the inside. Bit of contact made between himself and Larry Tulke, and Quintino will just about edge ahead, and he'll take P7, of course, utilising those fresher tyres. Now we'll try and attack Gabor and then try to see whether we can stick with Cameron Dowds, who is definitely in prime position to move up to a spot on the podium in this race. We're on lap number 17 out of 25. It's all moving and progressing very quickly here in the 9th race of the season.
It certainly is, as we head our way back down towards the final corner on this circuit. Luca Rapassa has checked out for P1. And Ray Imtiaz is very, very comfortable in P2 with a 5-second gap back to 3rd. So our top 2, I think, is more than covered here. But 3rd and below, that is still a question in this race, as we did see Florian Van Zelten, I think, make a slight bit of contact there with Conrad Bohm as they headed into the final corner. But back to turn 1 we go, and Conrad Bohm still keeps that P3 spot. Van Zelten in 4th as Gabriel Quintino looking for a move ahead of Gabor Chontos, but couldn't quite make that one pay off. And I think as well, if Cameron can get these moves done, there's no reason why we can't see Gabriel Quintino also make his way forward, as he's got newer tyres than Gabor, Florian and Conrad.
Yep, so definitely keep an eye on the Aston Martin man in your picture, navigating through the very fast Sector 1 around this circuit. Now can Dowds also try and line up Van Zelten at the same time? We're wheel to wheel further back. That's Tom Roberts, who's another driver who is trying to progress forward on those medium compound of tyres, and that will be a way through for Roberts then. And he got his first top 5 in the 2nd tier. Of course, having his first full season in PCF2 is Tom Roberts, a driver who has been very quick over the years, especially on PlayStation, and now is going to look to try and build upon that top 5 to hopefully get on the podium. And, well, he's definitely putting together a good drive as of yet, but Quintino has been following Gabor closely through this 2nd sector, now into Sector 3, so he's definitely going to be getting interested for a move, as will Cameron Dowds.
He goes to the inside of Florian Van Zelten. I think it was a bit more of a dummy send than anything, but he's now got a perfect line down towards turn 1 here to make a move ahead of the fellow V-Carb as they head down to turn 1 onto lap 19 of 25. It's going to be Van Zelten to the outside of Conrad Bohm. Of course, Cameron made 2 moves here earlier on. Could he do that again? He's made 1 move. He's now ahead of Conrad Bohm. His next move will be ahead of Florian Van Zelten, but I presume he'll be happy to stay behind for now, because he can get that DRS heading down towards turn 27 once more, and the podium surely is looking to be on here for Cameron Dowds. I think even if Florian had that penalty removed, I still think he'll get P3 anyway. He seems a lot more confident on those better tyres.
Yeah, it definitely looks like he's going to be progressing his way through. Looking to the outside is Quintino. Can he try to get the cut back? Well, it's very tight on the exit because Gabor was on that part of the circuit. Quintino, we're on board with him. Getting super tight as we make our way through. He's just looking for the better line, trying to get the cut back at any moment. And now he's going to try and utilise the battery. He's not got much of it left, and it might allow Tom Roberts. Remember, he's also got a lap fresher tyres and he's got the mediums on. So he could definitely try and do something as he navigates his way out of Turn number 22, he's nearly lost the car though, fighting away with it on the exit there, and it will mean he'll still get really close due to the amount of battery he's got in comparison to Quintino, who will be a sitting duck into the braking zone. He'll try and defend it into the braking zone. A bit of a late move, it's compromised his line, and now Roberts will try and get the power down and will once again have better top speed down the start-finish straight.
Indeed, and this should be an easy checkbook move here for Tom Roberts. He does make the move and he goes up into P7 ahead of Gabriel Quintino. A nice move by the young Brits as Tony Hietala. Oh, he's been given a 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, and he's, I think, chose to retire because of that. So our championship leader is out of the race, and the championship rival, who's a point behind, is leading the race.
Absolute drama. We had a big moment in the context of the World Championship in Mexico, and it's going to take another twist and in the favour of Luca Rapassa, who is on his way once again to maximise points in a race, and also of course to get the bonus point when it comes to qualifying. And this championship, with also Leo Lund outside the top 10, is very much in favour of Rapassa, who is going to definitely put definitely a few fingers on the trophy, I can assure you, heading into the final 2 rounds.
Indeed, and certainly now Luca will be a little bit more comfortable, I think. Of course, the gap will still be 15 points, but it does give you a lot of comfortability knowing that you've got a decent lead with only 2 races to go. And this could be Luca's championship to win. But of course, we've still got to decide other positions on track, the main one being P3. It's between Florian Fanzalter and Cameron Dowd, but I'm starting to think now, if Cameron's tyres do start to die off in the next 4 laps, there's potential that Conrad Bohm could yet again get involved and push forward again, because that sort of dominance that Cameron has had over these past couple of laps has died off with his tyres starting to be a little bit more worn, and it doesn't seem as easy for him to close all the way back up to the front to the back of Florian Fanzalter and then look for a move. If anything, Conrad Bohm looks more likely to make a move.
He does indeed at this moment. So the race, of course, progressing with the different tyre compounds that we have on the cars all meeting in the middle, and it can usually lead to some very interesting races. This is Ryan Modler making his way through out there on the circuit, the driver who is 23rd in the championship standings. 2 top 10s to his name this season, would become 3 if he can stay there, but does have the drivers of Leet and Gregory who are directly in behind and would love to get their name to a point in this race. We're on lap 21 out of 25, and it looks like that Gregory is getting very close to Leet. So this is an interesting battle that is beginning to develop here in the final stages of the race.
It certainly is, as we head shortly onto lap 22 of 25, so there'll be 3 to go, and only, I'd say, 6 opportunities now for Cameron Dowd to make that move, because you've got down to turn 27 and down to turn 1. That's your only realistic way of going for a move, unless somebody makes a mistake or you manage to get a really good exit out of a corner on, somewhere in the middle part of the lap. Maybe that's a possibility, but your main overtaking spots is turn 1 and turn 27, and Cameron Dowd's not close enough on this time around, so still stays in that P4 spot. Conrad Bohm, though, is starting to knock the door a little bit to the back of the V-carb, and if he can catch Cameron napping, there's no reason why he won't go for a bit of a send from a couple of tenths back to try and make a move. But of course, if you look further down the field, nobody's in any position to overtake. I think the only car that's got a chance is Ryan Modler, just because Larry Talkie's on 13 lap old tyres. He's also just gone off track, so I think that's really your only move. Everybody else has either got a massive gap or hasn't got a good enough tyre to overtake.
Yeah, it's very much a bit of a settled race. We were very lucky to have the action that we did earlier on. It's quite the opposite of what we usually get in these races, where it would be a very calm first half, and then after the pit stops, the race would start to come a bit alive, and then we'd possibly get something on the last lap. Especially this season, the drivers have produced some great things on the final lap of the race. We've had some great battles go all the way right until the end, especially around this circuit, even on the past game cycles. But with this specific game, and with Luca Rapassa's brilliance at the field, I don't think it's very likely that we're going to be getting something in the situation of a drag race to the line out of this corner on the 25th lap.
Indeed, as we head on to lap 23, and Cameron Dowd is closing on the back of Florian van Zelter. So is Conrad Bohm on the back of Cameron Dowds into turn 1, but nobody making a move. For the back, though, we do see Gabriel Quintino going back ahead of Tom Roberts into P7 now. For Quintino, of course, Roberts got the move done earlier on when his tyres were better, and now it seems that the hard tyres for Gabriel Quintino are the stronger tyre. And with him now having newer tyres than Conrad, Gabor and Florian, and having, it seems, better tyres than what Cameron would have, could we see a bit of a late resurgence here from Gabriel Quintino, possibly, with a couple of laps to go?
Yeah, so many question marks, but definitely don't rule anything out here in this specific race, because we have seen plenty of twists and turns so far. Quickly on Imtiaz, he's been having a very decent race, running in that second place on his way to the podium as it stands. He's been on the podium once before in PCF2, and that was at Spa in season 39, round 3 of that campaign. So it's been a bit of a while, and it'll only be the second time he's getting back there. Of course, a champion of F3 from a few seasons ago as well. He's definitely had a bit of a tricky time in F2, but definitely racking up another podium is going to be exactly what he would have wanted. And Florian van Zelter, well, he does have that third position, and if he does maintain it and gets the penalty removed, then it would also be his first podium as well. So quite an interesting podium, to be fair. One driver who's always used to being there, one driver returning back there, and one driver being there for the first time. But as I say that, Cameron Dowds goes to the inside line and makes it, well, a case where even if the penalty could get removed, he's taken it on the circuit and he's moved up to third.
Indeed, a brilliant move there by Cameron, and a much needed move, because it was starting to look a little bit more uncertain for Cameron in terms of looking to get that podium. I mean, you can always say, oh, well, Florian's got a penalty, but then again, you don't know if that's going to get removed or not. It could do, but then again, if Kryptonite's being mean and says, well, actually, I think you're at fault, he might say, oh, we'll keep the penalty there. As Leo Lund gets a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings, he's currently then in 13th. No points on the cards for him.
Well, what a day. What a day. It's been another. Yeah, of course, it's not the drama of Mexico at all. And I don't think anyone would have wanted it after what happened at Mexico. But it's been another one for the championship contenders, as that is tight for Florian van Zelter, getting through into turn number 22, but he was running into the back of Dowds.
I mean, that was nearly a bit of a race ender there for those two. That was close to, well, there was contact, but somehow both cars not really registering it too much. But Cameron Dowds goes back ahead down to turn 27, as we also see Conrad Bohm looking to make a move. He goes ahead temporarily. Florian van Zelter, there's contact into the barriers for Conrad and Florian, and Gabor Chontos will be looking to try and go ahead himself, and that's been given a bit of a lifeline here to Cameron Dowds, as he's got a 5/10 gap down into turn 1 as they head on to the final lap.
Yeah, final lap of the race, getting super tight. Well, Bohm's cut the opening chicane off the circuit. He'll argue that one later on. Van Zelter is ahead of Gabor. All drama on the final lap of the race now. So it's going to be a victory lap for Luca Rapasso at the front. But the drivers in behind absolutely going for it. And that was really, really tight. Lucky to still have all cars pointing in the right direction, because out of turn number 27, they were so close to the wall. But luckily, they are all still running and racing all the way until the checkered flag in this race.
Indeed, they are. And Luca Rapasso has half a lap to go. It's been a pretty simple race for Luca. It was a very good lap in qualifying to take pole, so he gets that extra point. And then, of course, the race has gone, I think, the most simple a race could ever go for a driver at the top of PCF2, and we'll be looking to try and make it 4 wins this season. That'll be the most of any driver. Of course, he was smashing Leo Lund on 3, but he will now make it 4, and of course, launch into the championship lead by 15 points. It's been 2 races of heartbreak for Tony Hietala. Contacts in Mexico, retiring in the pits here in Jeddah. But Luca Rapasso takes 2 wins on the bounce, and Luca Rapasso wins around Jeddah to take the championship lead. And Race Imtiaz is P2 on the podium, and Cameron Dowds, after a bit of a poor qualifying, a bit of an odd strategy, makes it work at the VSC, and he reigns off the podium.
Well, Jeddah has proven to be another decisive day as part of our season 41. And Luca Rapasso, I think, definitely one of the most dominant drives we've ever seen in PSGL PCF2. Absolutely great stuff from that race that he led off the line and all the way until the 25th and final lap. Absolutely brilliant from Luca Rapassa, and he is going to find himself now with a good advantage by F2 standards heading into the final 2 races of the season.
Indeed. And what, well, I'm not going to say what a race, because the race wasn't that interesting, but of course we had another change, a big change in the championship standings, and it's a little bit like what happened to Oscar Piastri, isn't it? Falls off out of nowhere, of course. I don't think both of them are his fault. First one, he got taken out by one of his championship rivals. Second race, of course, Jeddah got he retired in the pits. He did let me know in the chat. I presume that was just because he was so far back. Of course, they pitted earlier on.
Yeah.
VSC came out, and you've got nothing left in the race. So it was always game over from there. But I'm surprised that Tony didn't stay out, because look where Larry's finished, P7. So I'm very surprised he chose to pit there. Odd decision, but unfortunately the risk didn't work.
Yep, absolutely. But it's just one of those days where, you know, we've still got 2 races left, and while the championship now is definitely heading in one direction, it is PSGL PCF2. It can very much switch in another way very, very quickly. And we head over to Brazil and also to Abu Dhabi. So 2 rounds that are going to absolutely deliver the thrills and spills of PSGL to bring season 41 to a close. But yeah, Jeddah once again, I think for the 2nd season on a row on this game, producing quite an interesting race. It's just something that you can't really predict what's going to happen, but that was quite interesting. After more of the strategy mix last season, this season it's been, well, some great racing on the circuit. Strategy played a huge part in it as well, but just absolutely brilliant and dominance from our race winner Luca Rapassa.
Indeed, and hopefully we'll get the top 3 in for a quick chat in the interview room. We'll just bring our way over to that quickly. There we are. We can see our driver interview screen, and hopefully somebody will pop in for a chat. Luca's going to pop in. Brilliant. Omi, would you like to open up the interview with Luca Rapassa? We'll quickly drag him in now.
Yes,
Oh, no.
absolutely. Joining us now is Luca Rapassa, who's going to be absolutely delighted. Well, he's taken the championship lead and now has a comfortable advantage as well at the top of the championship as well. Rapassa, how are you feeling then?
That's a fantastic race. Everything was perfect. Quali, I was on Rapol, and then camera just gave me a random slipstream a little bit to the line. Didn't really matter. I would have had pole anyway, but it was nice to get. And then the race, yeah, I was just tire saving in the beginning, and then I saw that my engineer and I, we saw like Florian was like about almost gapped, and then I just decided to start pushing, and then we just opened up the gap. Didn't respond to the undercut and just drove our own race. And from there on, I don't know what really happened with Pasquale, but yeah, it gave me a nice gap to race, and it was just driving to the end from there on.
Yeah, he had contact with Marcel Pabst as he was trying to get through some of the traffic. So that was unfortunate for him as well. But when that moment happened, was it very clear to you that this was going to be an easy drive all the way until the end, or did you expect any other hurdles to come your way?
No, I knew it was basically done from there on. I know my race pen, this like my favorite track. I know my race pace was good on this track. I was confident all the way through. So yeah, I knew if nothing random happened or I didn't get unlucky or anything like that, it was in the bag.
Yep, so this is your 7th win now in PCF2. You are 1 away from equaling the all-time win record, which belongs to Angelo Di Ortentiero at 8. We've got 2 more races to go. Do you think it is possible to win both races? First of all, equal the record at Brazil, and then take the all-time record at Abu Dhabi?
I don't know. I like Abu Dhabi. I'm quite. It's like also one of my better tracks, but I'm not quite sure about Brazil. Of course, I'll try everything I can to overtake Angelo with the wins if I can, but I think it's gonna be a difficult job, especially in Brazil.
Okay, well, congratulations. Enjoy the victory, and best of luck in the final 2 races of the season.
Thank you a lot.
And now Mr. Nathan
Bye.
Richards, I'll let you talk to Cameron Dowd, who's joined us in the commentary box.
Indeed, Cameron, welcome. It's been a while since we've been back together in the commentary box, but of course, first of all, well done on the P3. A great race, of course. Qualifying didn't quite go to plan. What happened there? Because I mean, we know that Jeddah is a difficult track to qualify on, but normally you'd be a little bit higher up the grid.
Yeah, I mean, my pace on this track, it's probably my worst track, to be honest. I don't know what it is. I just don't flow with it at all. In quali, the 0.6 I did was pretty bad, and then on my last run, I was 2 tenths up after turn 1, and then I just crumbled for the rest of the lap. So no one to blame there but myself. And then yeah, in the race, doing the alternate strat just because I was further down, so it's just kind of a no-brainer. And I don't really know where I would have got to if I just did hard medium and the VSE didn't come out, but I got lucky and the VSE did come out, and that helped tremendously. And then it made my work quite a lot easier. I was already in the train. I came out 7th or something, so I could kind of manage my tires, manage my pace while being in the train, and then at the end I managed to get past Florian and then kind of make him battle with the others, which gave me a gap which I definitely needed because the mediums were pretty dead towards the end, to be honest.
Indeed, and of course, you had a podium last time out in Mexico, another podium here in Jeddah. 2 rounds to go. How's the confidence looking heading into Brazil? Another difficult track, one of those where qualifying and the race is always so close. What are you kind of hoping for there? Another podium, or is it one of those tracks that you don't find as competitive for you?
No, I think I'm decent at Brazil. It's kind of on this game, to be honest. It's kind of weird. Like tracks that I was good at before, I seem to be not as good at now, especially in some of the qualifying sessions. I can be quick, and then some of them, like today, I can just be so far off the pace that it just makes it on this game of the dirty air. It's so hard to fight back. But yeah, hopefully I can continue this streak, see what happens. Brazil's a good track, so yeah.
Perfect. Well, Cameron, thanks for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you in here as always, and hopefully we'll see you again over the next couple of rounds. So have a good one, and yes, have a good weekend, mate. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you, you too.
And finally, Omi, we have our third podium sitter. I can't believe I can't even remember the last time we had all 3 podium sitters in the commentary box. We have Racing Diaz.
Yes, we do have Rays Diaz indeed. And well, Rays, I believe we haven't spoken since the season which you won the F3 title in the commentary box. Of course, you had a podium in season 39 for F2, so this is your second podium in F2. But yes, great to be speaking to you once again in a commentary box. How does it feel to be back on the podium?
Omi, I know you've waited for this one. I know I'm the most entertaining driver on this grid, Omi, so I know you've waited for this one a long, long time, my friend, and I'm back, and I'm here to stay as well. You know me, so I'm here to put in the hard work, and the podiums will keep coming in. Let's see what we can do in the future rounds. But yeah, I just want to say, first off, did you guys actually enjoy that race?
No.
For me, I enjoyed. Oh, you didn't enjoy it? Oh.
Well, we needed a battle between you and Luca, then it would have been more enjoyable race. You need to
Let me
provide some
explain
entertainment.
something. Okay. So what happened there is I haven't done much race testing, and my tire wear was through the roof. I nearly hit 80%, even while doing all the saving and giving 6 seconds away. So as you can tell, I was able to stay with Pasquale and Luca when the first stint was on. So it was possible to do, but on that second stint, I had no tire wear. So it's just something for me to look back into and change the setup or do something like that. But yeah, I was not risking it. As you can tell with my position in the standings, I needed these points. So I was not going to risk a potential fight with Luca. You can crash or do anything. I was like, no, let me just take it easy. The guys behind are just, absolutely going hammer and tong every single lap. So I have the gap there. Let me just take it easy. But I do promise to be more entertaining in the future. I'm sorry, Omi and Nathan. I am one for entertainment. I want to make it good for the fans watching at home. So yeah, hopefully we can do that at Brazil. But yeah, I just want to say it's really, really good talking to you guys, and I'm glad we're here.
Yeah, I mean, talking about you making it entertaining, you spun over the line, winning the championship in F3. So yes, you take it right to the absolute max in terms of providing us with entertainment up in the commentary box and for all of the viewers at home. So, well, for Saudi Arabia, what really clicked? Because as you mentioned, you didn't really get much of those results across the rest of the season. You had a 10th and a 9th at Monaco and Austria, but other than that, it's been outside of that top 10. So what was it here specifically at Jeddah that really worked out to give you this result?
I'm not gonna lie, I hate this track. So there's absolutely no correlation between me liking a track or it clicking, or this is one of my worst tracks. So for me, this is why I've got a little bit more confidence and hope going forward. It seems like it has been clicking for me. I don't know if you guys saw my Spain performance. I was on for a top 5 and got killed by Larry's AI. So the results were coming in there, WR as well. Oh, sorry, I wasn't meant to mention the league name, but there are races where recently I've been, up there and the qualifying performances have come back. As you guys know, with this game, qualifying is very, very important. And today, even with a bad lap, we still managed to put it on the second row. So I'm hoping to do that going into the last 2 rounds. And, I think this is all build up for the last season and going on to the DLC for next summer. I just really want to get confident and well suited to this game. It's taken me a lot longer than I expected, but I'm with a good team. I'm with the right people now, and they're really helping me out. You guys don't understand how difficult it's been the last few months. I've really been off pace, but now I feel like I'm finding my feet again.
Well, that's absolutely fantastic to hear. So yes, we cannot wait for in 1 week's time, hopefully speaking to you as the race winner. Who knows? You are really performing absolutely brilliantly. So anything's possible at Brazil and Abu Dhabi. Well, what's your thoughts on those specific circuits in terms of driving wise? How do you expect yourself to be around
Bring
those
it on,
things?
mate. Bring it on. P1 all the way. Both races we're looking to win, man. There's absolutely no excuses. I'm going to look to win both of them. And Nathan knows I can do it. You know I can do it. So
Yeah.
let's keep the confidence high and keep ourselves on a high. And yeah, let's see what we can do at Brazil. I hope to at least be on the podium.
Yep, absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Imtiaz. Great to speak to you once again, and best of luck in the final 2 rounds of the season.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one, mate. Thank you for joining. There we go, Omi. What an ending to the interviews. Of course, great to hear from Race and Cameron and Luca over the past 5 or 10 minutes. Of course, we never often get to see all 3 podium sitters in, so that's a rare one in itself. We'll bring our way back over to the camera screens as we look to end what's been a very entertaining night, more so for the championship rather than the on-track action. Of course, the big news is that Luca Rapassa now has a 16-point gap over Tony Hietala, and of course, with 2 rounds to go, it's going to be very unlikely that Luca really lets that point gap drop, especially with a driver like Luca, who we know is very experienced and always has a lot of pace.
Yeah, it's Luca Rapassa. It's going to be very difficult for anything to go wrong. But also at the same time, it's PSGL PCF2, and we've seen things happen. So the final 2 rounds are definitely going to be interesting, and it's all to still be fought for. And as the rest of the season has also proven, at the end of the day, the racing and the qualifying specifically, even with the game that we actually have, and even with how hard it is to overtake, the drivers have been absolutely fantastic in the races, treating us to some great last lap battles. And who knows, Brazil and Abu Dhabi, we could get more of that.
Certainly, and of course we're back next week for Brazil, then the week after we're back for the championship finale as we head to Abu Dhabi to crown our season 41 PSGL PCF2 champion. Well, that's all from us tonight. Of course, a big thank you to you, Omi, for being alongside myself, and hopefully Corey will be back next week for the action as we head into the penultimate round where we get to see if Luca Rapassa will take that championship title or if Tony has a little bit more left up his sleeve in terms of trying to fight back. But of course, that's all from us. So have a good weekend, guys. We'll see you again next week for round 10 of the championship as we head to Brazil. Have a good evening. Good night.